Hi, Jennifer Nicely here with Pinnacle Real Estate Academy. Today I'm in the gorgeous Myrtle Beach train depot, and I wanted to bring you this quick message about seller's disclosures. This year's core course is talking about the seller's disclosure, and so if you haven't taken your 4 hours of core, come see me. I'd be glad to walk you through that course, the core or the elective. Now, a part of that course is on the seller's disclosure. A lot of agents think they know about the seller's disclosure, but there are a lot of agents who don't actually know the law, or they have omitted parts of the law that they didn't really want to see. So, a couple of things about the seller's disclosure. First of all sellers are required to fill out the 5-page document. This document could be 6 pages if they have an HOA attached to it. If they do not have an HOA, then they only fill out the first 5 pages. Now, we as licensees are not allowed to tell the sellers how to fill out these forms. We cannot give advice on what and how they should answer. So there are 3 columns that run on the right side of this disclosure. There is a yes column, a no column, and a no representation column. The seller is to fill out this form as truthfully and honestly as they can. Now, the law understands that our sellers are not inspectors, and our sellers do not know everything there is to know about a home. But they are to fill it out to the best of their ability. Our sellers will only get in trouble when they deliberately lie or misstate something with their home. Now, we as realtors need to explain to them that they need to speak truthfully and honestly on this form. We as realtors and they as sellers are both going to go down in a court of law if there is a lie. Now, if our seller decides that they don't want to disclose something, let's say the roof is leaking, and we know the roof is leaking, and the sellers are not wanting to put that on the seller's disclosure, we as licensees are required to still disclose that that roof is leaking. If we do not disclose the roof is leaking because the seller doesn't want us to, then we're going to go down with them in court also. So our job is to make sure that they understand they need to speak truthfully, and for us to disclose anything that we know that the seller isn't willing to disclose. Now, there are a couple of exemptions from the seller's disclosure. One is under an estate sale. Now, here's where the confusion comes into play, because there are a lot of realtors who believe that if you inherited that home through an estate sale, that you don't have to fill out a seller's disclosure, and that is inaccurate. What our law says is that when a home is an estate sale, the person who passed away does not have to fill out a seller's disclosure. But the person who inherited that home, whether or not they've lived in it or not, they are to fill out a seller's disclosure when they go to sell the home. It does not matter if you've never been to the home. It does not matter if you've never lived in that home. You are still required to provide a seller's disclosure. Now, one of the biggest problems I see in town are investors who believe that they don't have to fill out the seller's disclosures. This is not an exemption. It never has been an exemption. Investors have always had to disclose and fill out a seller's disclosure. Here's what happened. There are a lot of people who read the law and they interpreted it by reading half of what it says. There is a part of the law that says new construction that has never been inhabited is exempt. But if you as an investor go in and you rehab a home, that's not new construction. Even if you've replaced everything in that home, it's not new construction unless you tear it down and you build it back from scratch. The other key part of that is it's never been inhabited. Investors purchase homes and they rehab them, but someone has lived in that home prior to that investor owning. Therefore, because it's been inhabited, you must fill out a seller's disclosure. Now, in my opinion, investors know more about that home than a regular resale person because they just had an inspection and repaired all the items on that inspection. With the seller's disclosure, there are 3 choices. You have yes, no, and no representation. Yes means you do know of a problem and you are disclosing it on the form. No means you do not know of a problem and you are saying that there is nothing wrong with that particular topic they're asking you a question on. Your third choice says no representation. No representation does not mean that you get to plead fifth. No representation means I don't have a clue. Okay? So there is nowhere on our seller's disclosure that allows you to plead fifth. There is nothing on our seller's disclosure that allows you to be exempt from telling something that you know. Now, with the seller's disclosure, if you check, you as in the seller, check the no representation all the way down, all that does is throw red flags for the buyer. And the buyer thinks in their mind, what is it that they're not telling me? So in my opinion, I would rather you check yes or no and not no representation, because it brings up those red flags. However, if you have an investor or someone who has never lived in the home and they truthfully do not have a clue the condition of the property, then you can check no representation. But I would write at the bottom of that document why they put no representation, so that it doesn't bring up red flags and buyers do not assume that you're trying to plead the fifth, because that, again, is illegal. If you have any questions about the seller's disclosure, please give me a call. We're here at Pinnacle Real Estate Academy to help you any time of the day. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and check us out on our website. Our website is pinnaclerealestateacademy.com.